Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
It is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap show right here on Comcast Speech TV, and now this season as well on WNDT TV channel 47, in which we are extremely proud to partner with them and expand the show's presence across the Delmarva Peninsula. We are coming to you live from the Ravens Room at the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City, with Ravens fans all across Delmarva, including Ravens Roost 44. Give yourselves a hand. Welcome into week number 3 of the NFL. Coming up, we are going to recap the Ravens' 26-6 victory over the Steelers, talk news and notes, preview the upcoming game this Sunday on the road to Cleveland as they take on the Browns. Kickoff in that one at 1 o'clock. The Ravens Wrap Show is brought to you by our friends at the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, of course, Bud Light, the Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, jctickets.net, our friends at Holiday Inn Express at Northside right next door to us, and Dunaway Furniture, along with BuyAToyota.com. Don't forget, you can like us on Facebook, Ravens Wrap at the Blue Ox. I'm Mike Bradley for 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore, and locally from Mike and Jake in the morning on 92.7 WGMD. To my left, former football and lacrosse coach and Ravens Roost 44 member, Steve Slaza. Steve, welcome back again, sir. To his left, Ocean City Mayor and our Cleveland Browns fan and analyst this week, Rick Meehan. Rick, welcome back. And representing the local teams for the Redskins, Buck Mann from Mann Properties. Buck, welcome back, sir. All right. Hey, we invite all folks to come on down, all Ravens fans to come on down to the show. Next week, we've got a drawing for Ravens tickets to the game against the Carolina Panthers coming up on the 28th. So our show next Wednesday, the 24th, we'll be giving away tickets for that show. So come on down. We give you tickets, and we've got 5 chances this year for you to win tickets to see Ravens games. So we make it well worth your while. And this is an unbelievable Ravens room. You have to check it out. All right, let's get to the game, Steve. Boy, there was a lot of swirling controversy around the Ravens going into that Thursday night game against the Steelers. I thought it was great that they had a short week. I thought it was really important that they could have a quick turnaround like that and get back to playing football on the field. But I had no doubt in my mind, we talked last week, that the Ravens, I thought, were going to come out victorious. They seem to thrive under pressure, under adversity, and they came out with flying colors in that one.
They do. John Harbaugh really talks about what a good group of guys this is, and they really showed it. You know, I think there's a huge advantage on Thursday night games because of the turnaround time. I think the home team has more of an advantage than they usually do. But, you know, they were so focused with, you know, everything they had swirling around with the national media last week. It was really tough for them, and they did it. They came out, and the reality was they should have scored touchdowns their last 3 drives, and they got field goals out of that. Right. So, and the reality was it should have been 38-6, but, you know, we'll take it.
Most certainly. And I thought the big difference is they got off to a fast start. We talked about that first game against Cincinnati where they got off to a really slow start in that game, and it was reminiscent of last year where they had to get themselves out of a hole that they dug early on and came up just a little too short in that one.
Well, we thought, and we've talked about this, we thought they would get better every week with the new offense, and they did. And the first week of the second half, they really started gelling, and last week it was going the whole time. And you know, when you saw what Kubiak was doing with the tight ends, moving them in and out, and moving the wide receiver, it's going to be a fun year to watch the offense. But you know, we got to worry about Cleveland because they are legit this year, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, that's strange to hear.
Yeah, we look at that game and it's like, wait a minute now, you know, we've got a division top to bottom that's going to be very competitive, no question about it. Steve, the running game was something that got ramped up in that second game. That first game against Cincinnati, we're kind of scratching our heads saying, wait a minute now, we thought that the Ravens were looking to establish the run game once again this year, which they didn't have last year. And we didn't see that against Cincinnati, at least in the first half. We did the second half. But against the Steelers, especially early on, they did a good job of mixing it up, and they certainly were able to pound against a front seven of the Steelers that just is not a reminiscent of the old Steelers defenses we're used to seeing.
No, I think our offensive line is vastly improved, you know, starting with the center, Jeremy Zuda. I mean, the whole offense works off of the center. And, if you said last year that you would miss Matt Burke more than you would miss Ray Lewis, you would have laughed. But when you look back at the year, that's exactly what happened. But I really thought the offensive line worked well together. And Kubiak's shown it. He can run 2-3 backs in there, and each one of those backs in the zone blocking scheme, will really do a nice job.
Now, and I've got to say, Rick, that the Browns, they came back in that Steelers game in the second half, and I wonder if the Ravens were able to pick up on some things that the Browns were able to take advantage of after being down. I think it was 27-3 at halftime. They came back and made it a game, lost 30-27. So I think the Browns might have helped us out a little bit in showing us some things.
They probably did, and they did a lot of it with the hurry-up offense. They did that against the Steelers, and the Browns were faster than the Steelers were in the second half of that game. And you saw the same thing, I think, throughout the Ravens-Steelers game. The Ravens were faster. They were faster the whole game. They were focused. The Steelers, like you said, the front seven isn't the same as it was before. Polamalu, how many times did you hear his name? He was still hitting the pile, but the play was over by the time he got there. So I think the Ravens were just faster. It wasn't the Steelers' day. They were definitely outplayed.
And you see Polamalu now, he's over-aggressive. I see him whiff on more plays instead of maybe breaking down and taking that back a little bit. He misses, Steve. I saw a lot of plays in that game. But, yeah, he's not the presence he used to be.
Now, I think that team has gotten older, and you called on the offensive line. I mean, you said they were giving up 2. I would say they were giving up 3, maybe 3.5 positions on the O-line. I mean, we just decimated them and got after them. And that's what you didn't see in the first game. We really held back and didn't really blitz Dalton too much. So it was good to see it. Come on.
But when Aaron Brown was out during that game too, that made a big difference because that's their one deep threat. That's the one guy that can stretch the field for Roethlisberger. And when they lost him, that really changed the offensive scheme, I think, for the Steelers.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. It did really take the wind out of themselves.
They did what you said, is that we put Jimmy Smith on him and locked him off and said, okay, have your way with our other defensive back. We'll take our chances and play 10 yards off, and that really worked well.
Yeah. And Buck, just taking a look, the AFC North this year, at least early on, seems to be one of the more competitive divisions, top to bottom.
After watching the Cincinnati game, it was a pleasure to watch the Ravens on Thursday night. They just it was a whole different team.
It was a complete.
They could almost beat the Redskins.
Yeah. I thought one of the keys too, Steve. You take a look at some of the guys that really stood out in the game. Let's talk about Bernard Pierce. That Sunday game, he fumbles the ball. He's in the doghouse. Now, certainly he got another chance partially because Ray Rice being taken away from the team, or his contract being not available. His contract being ixnayed to say the least. He got another chance though. Now they could have gone with Justin Forsett initially, but they gave him the ball and he came through with flying colors. And I thought it was a big game for him in terms of confidence.
Well, he and Harbaugh sat down and had a powwow, and Harbaugh said, look, you weren't in my doghouse. It was just that Forsett was hot and you weren't having that much success. And, oh, by the way, you fumbled. So, he was in the doghouse, but he worked his way out of it. And, I think they knew when they drafted him, Mr. Bisciotti said when he was here that, they were prepared to go in the season with him as their number 1 running back. And that's what they drafted him, thinking he could be that kind of runner. And I think you're going to see all 3 running backs this year. I think the rookie's going to come in there in a couple games, and he might even come in this game against Cleveland. But we've got 3 guys, and that's been Kubiak's philosophy: is that any man up can run the ball for us.
Now Pierce isn't a rookie, but Mayor, with the Browns, and we'll talk about that coming up with Ben Tate with some of his injuries. You're relying on a couple of rookies to carry the load, so it really is next man up, and it's one play away from having to play a significant role in the game.
Well, that's exactly the same thing, and Ben Tate was supposed to be the primary runner for the Browns this year, and he got lost to them early on in the first game of the season, so they had to turn to Terrence West, who's the running back out of Towson, which is really terrific, and he's played great, as well as Isaiah Crowell. So they've got 2 rookies that run downhill and run hard, and you have to be ready for the next man up. The next guy's got to be ready to play.
And they say that Pierce really fits this blocking scheme, Steve, as well as, if not better than, our previous back. And we'll have to see how Forsett so far has looked really good in as well, though.
Now, I'm excited, and to be honest, when you guys explained it to me, I always heard zone block, and you sort of knew what it meant. But when you said you take the defensive guy the way he's going, and you saw it last week, there was one down on the goal line, and they were crashing on the end, And all Monroe did was turn and push the guy inside, and Pierce ran outside him. So once you can do that, and you have running backs that know what's happening, can make one cut and really hit the hole, it's going to be a fun offense to watch.
Yeah, no question about it. And Buck, finally seeing a Ravens offense in the first half and second half be able to run the football, unlike what they were able to do last year.
Yeah, everybody was expecting the worst when they lost Rice and everything, but everybody just came to play. It was a pleasure watching them. It really was. The enthusiasm. I actually thought that all the controversy pulled them together as a team, and they got out there and just said, "Hey, we can still do this." And I don't usually give that many platitudes for the team, but I was really impressed with them. I really was.
And I think they thrive on that kind of controversy, or being the underdog. Everybody's talking that all this controversy surrounding them. How are they going to come out and play? And they did a great job. And I think too, and Steve, this as being a player and coach as well, that sometimes getting out in the field, that's the best thing, because that's the time you can focus and get rid of all the distractions.
I think these are the kind of things that really, as fans, keep us excited and interested in the games. There are years past where, the Ray Rice situation would have divided the team and broken them apart.
Yep.
But, with the locker room they have this year, it like you were saying, like, it galvanized the team. And, I think this is going to be a springboard for them for the rest of the year.
All right, there's a lot more to come. We'll continue to analyze the Ravens' win over the Steelers Thursday. More on the offense. We haven't talked about the defense. Some important news and notes from practice on Wednesday. Some players that didn't practice today. You may be surprised about a few of the names that you'll hear about. Also coming up, we'll talk about the NFL and some changes they've made in their policy this week. And later on, of course, we will preview the upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns, a very important AFC North game. And this is a different Cleveland Browns team, headed by a guy that used to coach for the Ravens. Got a little background on him as well. So all that and more to come. It is the Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and WNDT TV Channel 47. We're back with more. Keep it here.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
Like 33rd Street was to Colt fans, Russell Street will become legendary for future generations of Raven fans. Not only is Russell Street the team's address on Sunday, it's now home to the website voted Baltimore's best 5 years in a row. You've known them as Ravens247.com for years, and now you'll love them as RussellStreetReport.com for many more. There's nothing else like it for Baltimore football fans. Trust me, RussellStreetReport.com. Baltimore's home for football 24/7.
Welcome to the Comfort Inn Gold Coast. Conveniently located just 1 block from the beach and adjacent to shopping at the Gold Coast Mall and the movie theater. Newly renovated and open year-round with a marvelous bayfront view. Visit us on the web at comfortgoldcoast.com and see our hot deals and great golf packages, or simply call our direct reservation line to plan your stay.